powerful story has the ability to change the world. I see the energy, I see the excitement after a good story is told to an audience.
Welcome to McGraw Some Sauce, the podcast all about entrepreneurial journeys and growth mindset. My guest today is Petar Josic, and I'm so glad I'm pronouncing that right. It's like I didn't have to practice it at all, Petar. It's not like you trained me up before I'm entering you on this show. Petar is the founder of, and this is really cool, I'm glad I'm speaking to you today. Petar is the founder of Spoken Artists, an exclusive agency representing a global roster of keynote speakers that all have one thing in common, which is originality. They have an original story to tell. Petar has worked with some of the world's most acclaimed leaders in business and media and sports and music and culture, and has booked over 5,000 speaking engagements globally. So I'm super excited to speak to you today here, Petar. I think you're a real entrepreneur, and this is a real cool business that you have. So thank you for being with me today.
Thanks, man. Yeah, I'm thrilled to have this conversation with you.
Wicked, man. I know I just introed you like just now onto the show, but I want to get to know you a little bit more about the work that you do and what you bring to the world. What is Spoken Artists truly about, and why do you do the work that you do? Why is this important?
Yeah, great question. And I just don't even know where to start with that answer. First and foremost, Spoken Artists is brand new. I mean, 1 month new. However, I've been in the industry for well over a decade, and it's interesting how I kind of fell into this space. I think what's even more interesting, though, is that not a lot of people know this world even exists. So prior to me doing what I'm doing now, I was actually I was organizing events, and I was bringing in speakers, and I was just fascinated that the whole other side of the business is where keynote speakers specifically go to conferences and events, tell their story, and get paid a shit ton of money to do it. And this opened up a whole new kind of world for me, and I always wanted to be on the other side of the business. And so that's exactly what I did. I ended up working as an agent. I had a roster of speakers that I worked with, and I booked them for conferences all over the world. And I took a little bit of a pause before I started Spoken Artists, which, as mentioned, was born just in January of this year. So the business itself and what fascinates me about specifically booking speakers for conference, you're surrounded by just the most remarkable individuals ever, who tell remarkable stories and who actually have the power. I know this sounds corny and cheesy, but a powerful story has the ability to change the world. I see the energy, I see the excitement after a good story is told to an audience, whether it's an audience of 20 people or whether it's an audience of 20,000 people. After a good speech, you can just feel the buzz. And I'm sure you've been there. We've all been there. We've all heard it. We've all seen it. And that for me is why I love doing what I'm doing. And I think the message that I want to leave everybody with, and we can, discuss this throughout this conversation, is anybody has the ability to tell a fantastic story.
Right.
And so that's really kind of what moves me, is not just, the celebrities or the Tony Robbins of the world, but anybody has the ability to tell an incredible story. And that's why I love doing what I do, man.
Now, we've talked about this briefly before we recorded this episode. Yes, everyone has, I'm going to play devil's advocate a little bit here. Yes, everyone has a story in them, but not all stories are, it's almost like not all stories are worthy of being told. Most entrepreneurs that I'm meeting now, and I've had a few conversations like this as I've talked to different people who thought they could be clients of mine as I try to brand them and stuff. They think that, well, if I just tell my story, I'll just tell my story. I'll just tell my story and I'll leave it out there on the internet and all the people will come flooding to me. I'll get more leads and more work than I could ever handle. If I just tell my story, people just need to know who I am. I'll put my story out there and I'll become famous. That is not how this works at all, is it? Not everyone's story is, yeah, I'm sure it's unique to them, but it's not powerful enough to carry that message. How do you navigate waters like that when someone's coming to you and says, hey, I want to tell my story? What is that conversation like?
Yeah, no, I mean, it's a fascinating question. uh, I think kind of the recipe that I've boiled it down to over the years, and trust me, Nick, like holy shit, I've seen a lot of speeches.
Right.
And am I okay to swear on this? Is that okay?
Go, fuck man, I fucking do.
Okay. I've boiled it down to what I call the 4 C's. So the four C's are content, currency, credibility, and then courage. Yes, you're absolutely right, man. Everybody has a story to tell. And everybody's story is unique in their own kind of way. On the speaking circuit specifically, however, there's a specific demand for the kind of content that actually sells. And this is the difference, right? And I don't want to disparage anybody who has an incredible story, because we all do. But when we're talking about the paid lecture circuit specifically, there's a big difference, and I've boiled it down to the 4 C's. So if we think about content as the first C, what is your message and why is your content different than the tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of similar kinds of contents like yours that's out there? There's a host of different kinds of speakers. So if we boil it down to like a topic, let's say innovation, which is a super hot topic on the lecture circuit right now. A lot of event planners that I work with are always looking for innovation speakers, but there are a ton of them. So why is your content different? And what value is your content going to actually leave an audience with? Not just like the theoretical stuff, but like the real practical, how to apply actionable items, like how to apply the things that I'm learning and hearing from you into my world. So that's the content piece. And then if we think about currency, currency is important because it's all about relevance. Like why you right now in February of 2022, why is your message important? Maybe you did something 10, 15, 20, 30 years ago, which is great, but is that still relevant to the way in which the world is working today? Because there are a lot of things that were even relevant 6 months ago that if we are looking ahead with all the changes that have happened in the workplace and with technology and all these different verticals and sectors, I mean, currency is a major piece. And if you think your story that you've told, over the course of the last however many years or months or whatever it is still relevant today, sure, maybe it is. But on the paid lecture circuit, that's a different story. Credibility. This one is a big piece for me, especially. Credibility is referring to what has given you the platform to talk about the things that you are talking about. There's a whole slew of individuals who are out there that are, your kind of traditional quote unquote professional speaker.
Okay.
And I've actually heard a lot of professional speakers who have never really done anything. They may regurgitate the work of people who are in the field, people who are in the trenches, who have actually been there, who have actually done it, and whatever. I mean, that's great. Like, there's a real special talent to being able to tell a story. But individuals that I find most fascinating are the people who have actually done it. They may not even, kind of define themselves as a speaker. And I mean, I guess just between us, like when I'm actively recruiting individuals for my roster, I mean, I don't care whether or not they're good speakers. Like that can be coached, that can be
Right.
taught. It's
Yeah.
the credibility piece that is most important for me. What have you done in your career to have blazed a trail to earn the platform to talk about the things that you're talking about?
Yeah.
And then the last piece is courage. So we've checked off content, currency, credibility, and then for me the last piece is courage. And I like this one because it just goes, it really boils down to authenticity. Having the courage and being your authentic self, but having the courage to say things that audiences may not necessarily always want to hear.
Right.
But it's the kinds of things that they need to hear that's going to implement real change. And sometimes the things that audiences need to hear might not be, I mean, they may actually sometimes take it the wrong way. They may be offended by it. They may, but having the courage to say things that you believe are the right things to say. It's easy to kind of just say things to get a round of applause, right? But I think it takes a real special trait to have that courage on stage in front of a room full of 500 strangers that you've never seen or, met before, to go out there and say the things that you believe to be true. So that's a very long-winded answer to your question, but
good.
Those are kind of some of the things that, at least for me, I've boiled down to what makes a speaker compelling, what makes a speaker successful in this world specifically.
There are a lot of great answers in that, and the one that I like the most, I like the courage one because that's great, because there's something to be said about authenticity and transparency, and people know when you're just even if I've never met you before, I know when you're faking it, and I think people can smell bullshit from a million miles away, and I know when you're trying to be this different person up there. Just be you. But I really like the credibility one, and this comes back to the question that I asked is like, well, I just want to tell my story. People always want to like brand themselves and market themselves, and you have to be marketable to a certain point, and like, or you're not going to get any gigs booked, right? We're not going to make any sales at all, right? So people have to be marketable, and I'm sure that, like you said, it can be coached, and you can train people up, and you can give them the empowerment, the professional speaking skills to stand up on stage and project their voice and look out and all that stuff, and that's coachable, but you're not going to be able to fake credibility for very long. You might be able to get away with it for a couple of months, even a couple of years. But if you haven't done the things that you're talking about, and if you haven't lived these real life experiences, that's going to come through in your storytelling.
Well, let me just cut you off, man. I mean, you're in branding, you're a marketer. I presume you've been to branding and marketing conferences. If somebody is up there talking on stage about branding and marketing, what's the first thing that comes to your mind? Who are you?
Yeah.
What gives you the cred to talk to me? Who, I've been in this industry. I don't know how long you've been in the industry for, Nick, but
years.
I mean, like these are things that you're just kind of subconsciously asking yourself inside of your head is like, okay, well, I'm a marketer. I know what works for me. So who are you to talk to me about what works and what doesn't? Right. So these are just natural questions that anybody in any audience will ask. I mean, we do a ton of work with event planners all around the world, in any and every industry that you can possibly think of. And it's always the credibility piece that is such an important component to what makes, a powerful keynote speaker. And sometimes, I mean, let's take a room full of insurance brokers. I'm not going to want to put an insurance broker expert on stage to talk to a room full of insurance brokers because,
right.
It's just, everybody's kind of seen it. They've seen it. They've heard it all before. And again, why is this person on stage a story any different than the 300 or 400 insurance brokers in the room? Right. So yeah, I mean, I can't pick which one is the most important out of the four, because I think that they all display some level of importance in their own regard. But yeah, man, I mean, credibility is huge. And just using the example that I gave you, if you're in a room or a conference and some branding expert or marketing guy is up on stage, I think one of the first questions that's going to come to your mind is like, well, who are you and what do you do? If it's just somebody who's never really done anything, I mean, they've lost you.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And that's a good point you make too. If I were to put myself in that position, who are you? And have you even done this fucking work that you're talking about? Because I have, and I'll be able to know that if you haven't. And if listen, there could be someone who's traveled the world and has done crazy adventures, right? And I might believe them. Like if I like Tim Ferriss, if I was in a room with Tim Ferriss and he was giving a speech about all the crazy shit he's done all over the world, horseback riding in Argentina, rock climbing in the Sahara Desert, wherever he's been. I could believe that, but I really want to know that you've done these things. And so the credibility, like, I think you can sniff it out. And I think that's what probably makes a powerful speaker audience connection, is that like, you're going to suck us in, you're going to draw us in, and we're going to be hooked on every word. And that leads me to sort of like to my next question. What do you look for if someone's coming to you, if they found you, they're inquiring with you, hey, I see that you book speakers. I'm interested in doing that. What do you look for? What's the background check? What's the research that you do? What are the questions that you're going to ask a potential prospect coming to you? What do you look for in the next speaker you sign?
Oh man, well, I think, I mean, for sure, the 4 C's. That's just number one in my playbook. But I'll be honest with you, Nick. I mean, I hardly ever say yes to somebody who's writing in looking for representation.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I mean, there's no shortage of individuals out there who want to make $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 in 60 minutes.
Sure.
And I, for me, and this is just, I mean, kind of my way of working. I always feel as though less is more. There's a lot of agencies out there that quantify the level of their success simply based on the number of speakers that they have on their roster. Whereas for me, like, I truly want to be inspired and excited about who it is that I'm selling. I like to think that I have a pretty high bar in terms of, in trying to identify a quality moving speech. Because again, at the end of the day, like, my job is to sell these stories. That's what I do. Agents and agencies, I mean, they're just sexier words for salespeople.
Yeah.
What we do 9 to 5 every single day is we're selling. We're talking to event planners all around the world. They're telling us about what they're looking for with their speaker specifically, and our job is to pitch why our speaker is better than anybody else. So for me, I mean, I am just actually more reluctant to want to say yes to somebody. And it's not to say that I've never signed anybody who's written in before, but I think, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm actively out there just looking for somebody who, like I said earlier, is a pioneer who's blazed a trail, and whatever it is that he or she does, whether it's in business or whether it's in politics or sports or academia, you name it. My gauge is, if you can inspire me,
right.
I'm pretty sure that, I'll have no problem selling it because I'm genuinely inspired and excited about it. But that you'll be able to actually inspire the hell out of a lot of other people too. So yeah, I mean, and I've found speakers who, like I said earlier, just were like, who are you? What do you do? There's an industry centered around paid public speaking. What? Like, this was all so new to them. But again, like I said, that part of it can be coached. I was just so inspired by what it was that they did in their career, that I felt passionate enough where I thought that I can actually sell that message and sell that story.
Right on. I want to kind of bring this back to like business basics and like the idea of running a business. You are running this brand. You are the guy, right? You're steering the ship. As like a business owner, it's not quite a personal brand, obviously. Like, you are like a bigger business than that. But like, what would you say is? It could be a day-to-day thing or kind of a big picture thing. What would you say is the biggest challenge for spoken artists right now? Like, what are you struggling with as an entrepreneur, business owner right now?
Oh man, just time.
Yeah.
Just time. Holy shit. I start my day real early. Drop my boy off at daycare, and then my day starts at like 7:45.
Mm.
And then, I look at my watch and I'm like, holy shit, it's 6 o'clock. Like, what happened in the day?
So you're sitting here
No,
talking to
but
me right now, getting nothing done.
No, but I mean, my true passion is sales. I love selling. I love talking to my clients. I love talking to prospective clients. Like, I love that part of the business. So my biggest challenge is just the other stuff that comes with running a business.
Right.
The bookkeeping and the finances and the administrative work and all that, and this is stuff that obviously can be hired for. But at the end of the day, I mean, I've got this kind of, I want to know what's going on with my business. And so having to try to immerse myself in all those other aspects of the business is just taking me away from being able to do what I love to do. So the time management part, I know it's a very vague answer, but it's true. Like, I just find that sometimes there's not enough time in the day for me to get everything done. And there's never a point where like I feel like I'm actually done. And I guess there's always something to do. And then I think, where I start to get real anxious is if I'm just sitting around and there's nothing to do. Like, I don't think I've ever had that happen to me before, but if and when it does, like, that'll be a problem because there's so much going on.
That's when you'll start a new business. Because obviously this one's all set.
No, you know what? In all honesty, I've done this now for well over a decade. And there came a point in time, it was last year, and I really had to evaluate like what I wanted to do moving forward professionally. I had taken a break from the business to hang out with my son. My wife went back to work. And at that point in time, I thought, like, it was just a really good opportunity to hang out with Carlo. Watch him grow, be there for him. And that's exactly what I did. Like, in the 6 years that I worked prior, it was just head down, pound the pavement, work my ass off, never stopped, dude. Like, even when I was on vacation, I mean, I wasn't on vacation. I was working
on a beach.
Yeah, 100%. And then, I'd hit a wall, man. And I stepped back. I just took a break from it all. But then I really asked myself, like, what do I want to do? Is this what I want to do moving forward for the rest, for the rest of my life, practically? And the answer was yes. I love the business. I love the industry. I love the job. I love everything that it entails. So, all of it for me is something genuinely that I enjoy doing. And it doesn't really even feel like work, to be honest, because, and I know this all sounds super cliche, but it's something that I genuinely actually have fun doing. And then seeing it all come together, like the behind the scenes, from the moment that I've actually prospected, picked up the phone, called a potential client, formed a relationship, booked a speaker, but then actually going to an event and then seeing it all come together from all the work that took place prior, like it's a special
rewarding
feeling.
That can be really rewarding. I
told myself, Nick, like, this is what I'm going to do until the day that I keel over, man. So no new businesses for me.
Yeah, you say that, but an entrepreneur has always got ideas, right? And I'll be there with you, man. I'll see. I'm like, hey, remember 5 years ago you said nothing, Peter?
Yeah. Well, it's recorded now. So
what's this drop shipping company you're doing?
Yeah.
Thanks so much for like sharing like the business and like what you go through as an entrepreneur and like what your clients go through. Enough with the business talk. I have a fun extra little rapid fire round here that I want to take you through. These are just rapid fire questions that have nothing to do with business.
Weren't you supposed to prep me with these questions?
No, they're easy. Like it's not like it's like world trivia or anything like that.
Right,
but
let's go. Fire away.
Okay, whiskey or beer?
Oh shit. Depends on the time of the year. Right now,
here we go.
Okay. Beer.
Yeah, I spend enough Sundays with you playing soccer. I think I know what your tastes are.
Yeah.
Road trip or tropical destination?
Tropical destination.
Star Wars or Harry Potter?
Neither.
You're one of them, huh?
I'm
Can't
one of
even
those
have
guys, yeah.
can't even have a sci-fi conversation with you. Regular books or ebooks?
Regular books. I like the look, feel, and touch.
Skydiving or cage diving with sharks?
Holy shit. Skydiving.
Team sport or in the gym?
Team sports.
Yeah, I know. Sailboat or speedboat?
Speedboat.
Oh. You're a morning bird or night owl?
Morning.
Is your superpower flight or invisibility?
Invisibility.
Really? You? Okay.
Do I need to elaborate on these, or it's just
No, I'm asking quickly.
Okay, all right.
Don't worry. Well, why do you say invisibility?
I feel like I have to explain myself, but if not, keep going.
No. I'm going. My final question. I think I know the answer to this. LinkedIn or Instagram?
Oh, LinkedIn, no question.
Really? Oh, okay. All right.
Oh yeah. My Instagram sucks. Like no, I've been on LinkedIn, man. I was a real early adopter to that platform, and it's
good.
It's been incredible for me. Yeah.
It's completely changed too. It's completely transformed itself, and the community there is really strong. So I'm glad you say that. Peter, thank you so much for spending time with me today, telling me about Spoken Artist, telling me about the mission that you're on. If people wanted to connect with you, where can they go? What's a website or social handle that they can learn more about you and Spoken Artist? Tell me where they can go.
LinkedIn, dude. LinkedIn. Connect with me on LinkedIn. The website is spokenartists.com. My Instagram is brand new, so let's help get that up there, folks. Come on.
Yeah.
You can follow me on Instagram. The handle is Spoken Artists. And then I think that's it. Yeah. LinkedIn, Instagram, you got my website. And then anybody who wants to connect would love to connect. I'm always open for connecting.
Profiles on social, spokenartist.com, all those places, right?
Yes, sir.
Awesome. Peter, thank you so much for being with me today.
Thanks, man. Nick, it was fun.